What's up, guys? It's Eric from Rare Candy. Welcome back to our second round of this recent Sun and Moon format league challenge that we got to go attend. So this is going to be standard format. Like I said, Sun and Moon is legal, so definitely expect to see a couple of new cards making their way into this video. So here on, it's actually kind of a juicy match we got. We got two of the Rare Candy boys. We got on the left we have Marcus Gill playing Waterbox, and on the right we have our newest addition to the team, John Orgel. He's going to be playing Vespiquen. So I'm sure Marcus was not too excited about this matchup just because his main attacker, Lapras, is weak to grass. But he does have a couple tricks up his sleeve. He does play Glaceon EX, so that can wall against Vespiquen. But John also has his own Mew EX, so he can get around Glaceon as well. So I think that's going to be a very important dynamic to this game is, if John can safely power up a Mew EX and it doesn't get knocked out or something like that, then I think Marcus will be okay. But if not, John might be able to potentially come back into the game at some point and win with that Mew EX. Just hard to say at this point. See, I do see a Sycamore in Marcus's hand, so he is going to be okay for at least a turn. I didn't see what was in John, so I'm not sure how his start is going to be looking. John also plays some other interesting cards. He plays Zebstrika, which isn't too useful in this list. I'm not sure what other weird techs he plays. Vespiquen sometimes fits a lot of weird stuff. Some people play Zoroark in their list as well. I'm not sure if John's playing that, but if I had to guess, I think he's playing probably just Vespiquen, Zebstrika with a Mew, and some people play Vaporeon, so I think John might potentially play that as well. And then Marcus, like I said, he is playing a Water Toolbox deck, so Lapras GX, that's going to be one of the new GXs from Sun and Moon. And Marcus actually did a deck profile on that, so if you guys want to check that out, I'll be sure to put a link if you want to see the list he was previously testing with. I think this one is a little bit different, but same idea though. So that's going to be his kind of his heavy hitter in the deck. But he also plays things like Regice to wall against EXs, like Rayquaza, or even this Mew potentially. Plays Glaceon since that walls against evolutions like Vespiquen. And I think he actually plays one Tauros GX in the list as well. Because I think he put that in kind of last minute today, or on the day of this tournament. So here, Marcus is going to get to go first. And so he's going to attach, and that might be an ugly Sycamore if he has to Sycamore. Yeah, yeah, it could be a little worse, I guess, but having to discard Super Odd definitely isn't fun. So he is going to Trainer's Mail. I saw a Rough Seas there, Versus Seeker. If he doesn't have a support for next turn, I'd imagine grab Versus Seeker. So he's going to take Rough Seas. I think that's fine. So that's a Stadium card. Whenever it's in play, it lets both players heal their Lightning and Water Pokemon by 30 hit points. So Marcus basically exclusively plays Water Pokemon outside of Tauros and Shaman, so he's definitely trying to rely on that to help tank hits. Oh, but here he just has to pass, so that is definitely not the way he wants to start this. Normally this Waterbox deck is actually extremely consistent. You have all these different attackers and max elixirs and stuff like that. Okay, but here John's going to start. He's going to discard a Vespiquen and Sycamore, it looks like, grab himself a Combee. So that tells me he probably has a Shaman. Or at the very least, another supporter in hand ready to go. Okay, so he's got a Trainer's Mail. Okay, he's probably going to grab that Acrobike there. So that's a cool card. It'll let him look at the top two cards of his deck. You get to choose one and discard the other. So ideally, you want to get something you can actually use and then discard like a Pokemon to put in the discard pile. Since Vespiquen's attack is 20 plus 10 more for every Pokemon you have in your discard. Okay, so cool. He's going to discard an N, and he's going to bench that Unknown. And Unknown's actually really nice in this Vespiquen deck because its Farewell Letter ability lets you discard Unknown if it's on your bench and you get to draw a card. So, it helps speed up the deck and makes you do more damage. So, definitely a good card. And here it looks like John's just opting to Sycamore. Probably saw that Marcus had kind of a dead hand, didn't really do much on his turn. Okay, so here he's going to grab himself another Acrobyte. So John's definitely wasting no time, speeding through his deck and starting to, get set up here. Okay, so he's going to Acrobyte. Okay, discarding a Sycamore. Looks like he is opting to try to save this Zebstrika that he drew. Not a bad idea, even though it's a pretty useless card most of the time. You can still take knockouts on Shaman, so there is some merit to keeping it if he chooses to. Okay, so he's going to get rid of a Shaman and a Sycamore. What does John want to get here? He has Zebstrika in hand. He can maybe grab himself another Combi or an Unknown even. Yeah, I think Combi's just a fine choice, just in case Marcus pulls out some shenanigans and takes out the only one he has in play. You definitely don't want to be left with just a Blitzel, since it's not the best attacker. Here he's going to do, I forget the name of the attack, but it's 20 damage for 1 energy, and you take 10 yourself. So the 10 damage not really too relevant against this water deck, since I don't think anything just does 40 damage to knock out, or I'm sorry, 50 damage to knock out this Blitzel. So it's not really putting himself in any more danger. And here I have no idea what's going on between John and Marcus. John shaking those Combis like that. And it looks like they have a spectator of sorts looking at the Combi there. And, Marcus is really having an awkward start here. I think he failed the Max Elixir. And he's going to Sycamore. And he actually opted to discard Taurus. I think that's interesting. Because Taurus could actually be decent, I feel like, here in this matchup. Oh, Articuno, that could also be a really good card. Especially since everything in John's deck has fairly low hit points. In this Articuno, it has the Delta Plus ability, so I'm sorry, not ability, but ancient trait. So whenever it takes a knockout, it actually takes one more prize. So you can, knock out something small like this Blitzel, for example, and then just get 2 prizes, just like it's an EX. So I think that and Glaceon are definitely the attackers you want to go for in this deck here. The only thing is Marcus needs to be careful not to bench too many easy targets. I think that's because even if he gets this Glaceon lot going against John, John could potentially just Lysander around the entire game if he's not careful about what he keeps on his bench. Okay, so here it looks like Marcus just attached to Lapras and use Collect for the turn. So it's getting a little bit scary though, just because if John is able to manage to find a DC and has 8 Pokemon in the discard pile, it will be able to actually take a knockout on Vespiquen here. Or I'm sorry, take a knockout with Vespiquen on the Lapras GX. So this is definitely, I think, a pivotal turn. If John gets what he needs, Marcus, unless he just runs hot with some Max Elixirs, I think it's really going to struggle to actually effectively counter a Vespiquen. So I do see DC in hand. The question is, does he have enough Pokemon in the discard? But from the looks of it, I think he only has 3. So it might not be worth it to attack with Vespiquen just yet. Here, yeah, I definitely like this. Just attack with the Zebstrika, soften it up a little bit, and save your Vespiquen, since that is kind of your main attacker that you're going to need. Okay, so Marcus is eyeing down this Glaceon. Realize that it's going to be kind of an important attacker in this matchup. And, man, he's getting a little unlucky with these Max Elixirs. I think this deck runs like 11 basic waters, and that's, you typically on average hit 3 or even 4 in a game. So, little unfortunate there for Mr. Gill. And I'm not sure if I see a draw support in his hand. So, Oh, okay, he does have Vespiquen. He's going to look like he's going to Lysander, taking out a Shaman. That seems okay to me, actually. Two prizes, only puts one Pokemon in the discard pile. So it's kind of forcing John to have one more. But again, the problem is after this Lapras goes down, I really don't know what Marcus is going to do here. Okay, looks like John's thinking about Sycamoring. So he is going to be guaranteed, well, not guaranteed, he needs a couple more Pokemon to discard first. But I think he has a good chance of being able to knock out this Lapras this turn. Because I think he has four Pokemon to discard, so he's doing 60 times 2, 120. Yeah, he needs one more. Okay, so this will be fine. He has an unknown with a Klefki attached to it on the bench. He can discard both of them, and that'll actually put this Lapras in one-shot range now. So John's just going to double check to make sure. Yep, so he definitely has enough Pokemon in there now. I think it's 7. Actually, it looks like 6. But that will be enough to knock out this Lapras GX. And Marcus is doing the right thing. He is promoting this Articuno. Everything else on his board gives up 2 prizes, so he might take a turn just to let the Articuno get sacrificed. That'll put John at an odd number of prizes and force him to take 7 prizes in the game, as opposed to just 6 off EXs and GXs. Okay, so he's opting. Looks like he's struggling where he wants to attach. Glaceon does seem like a good one. Ideally, what he wants to do, I think, is power up Glaceon, use Hex Maniac, and attack with it. That way, John is unable to attack with the Mute at some point. So I think that's kind of his course of action. But here he's going to looks like he's going to opt to try to Chilling Sigh. But yeah, Chilling Sigh, it's Articuno's first attack for a water energy. It puts your opponent's active Pokemon asleep, so he might be able to buy a turn with that, but it is a little bit risky if John does wake up here. But he really needs to max Elixir. That's going to be really important. But I don't see one, so definitely not how this deck normally works for Marcus. Definitely is a little bit more consistent, but okay, and Tail. So John is going to stay asleep, so Marcus is able to buy an extra turn here. That's going to be pretty big, I think. Okay, so that Klefki from the previous turn did get discarded, but here John's just going to attach another one. And so here he is going to pass, and he is going to wake up in between turns from sleep. So what does Marcus do here? He can potentially Ultra Ball for a Shaman if he still has another one in the deck, since he doesn't really have a draw support to work with. But okay, he does have Sycamore, so he'll be okay, I think. And he does have Energy Switch as well, so he can potentially retreat for free thanks to Manaphy. Okay, so here he's just going to opt to Sycamore. And Max Elixir. Does Marcus get one? Okay, so he finally gets one. So more than likely he will be able to attack with Glaceon next turn finally. But hopefully he can Chilling Sigh one more time and keep John asleep. That's really what he's going to want to do here. Okay, it does look like he has a Rough Seas off the Trainer's Mail. Not too relevant right now, just because there's not any damage you want to heal. But if John puts his own Stadium down, Marcus can counter it with his own Rough Seas. And here he's going to put in play. I don't know if I like that or not, just because, like I said, it's not really doing anything for him. But if he has another Rough Seas in hand, I think that's a fine play. Because that way it's kind of baiting John into playing his own Stadium. That way he can counter it with another Rough Seas. Okay, and John's not doing so good on these sleep flips. So here's just going to pass. And what does he opt to do? That's going to be the big question. So what I might even do is, okay, I'm not sure if he had an energy in hand, but he did have Lysander, I saw. So if he could have potentially just retreated into Glaceon and Lysander that Mew EX, I think that would have been a solid play as well. Since I think that's really the only threat on John's board as far as being able to knock out this Glaceon. So here, Mark's just going to do Crystal Ray for 70. Or I'm sorry, 80 thanks to Fighting Fury Belt. Leaving that Vespiquen with 10 damage left. Kind of annoying. It's like so close to a knockout. You have to two-shot a 90 hit point Pokemon, but at the very least, John is not going to be able to attack it with this Vespiquen. So here John is going to do Unknown's Farewell Letter to draw a card. I kind of would have liked to have seen him put the Klefki on the Unknown instead of Zebstrika. I mean, I don't know if it's going to matter too much, but because I don't think it would have been enough to take a knockout with that Mew. Well, he can just retreat into Zebstrika and do Crashing Bolt for 50 at the very least, because Zebstrika does go through effects on your opponent's defending Pokemon, so he can do that at the very least. And he's going to Sycamore. But here it looks like I think John's trying to go all in here, attaching to that Mew and everything. If he can discard maybe some more Pokemon, he might be able to get a knockout. But I don't know. I think he would need a good bit because Glaceon has 210 hit points. And let's see. I can't tell how many Pokemon are in his discard, but he's going to probably comfortably two-shot this Glaceon. So he's going to bench Eevee. Ooh, okay, this is actually a cool play. He's going to Perilous City himself, putting some additional Pokemon in the discard pile. And I couldn't tell how much that was, but it's definitely going to be a lot of damage here. Okay, it looks like he did 160. Definitely a good move. And this also is going to reduce Marcus's damage output by 20 since the red side is facing him. Okay, but he does have his own extra Rough Seas to get rid of it. Okay, looks like he's counting his deck. That tells me he probably has Sycamore. That is just a rough spot right now. If he can potentially Ninja Boy into like Tauros or something, that would be cool. But he did discard the Tauros, I believe. Okay, we're going back to the old aggro Articuno strategy, it looks like. So what he might be able to do is, if he can buy an extra turn to just keep John asleep and heal off more and more damage, that could be a strategy to go with, but I think this is definitely a less than stellar situation for Marcus right now. If he can draw into Hex Maniac, that's also another really big thing. So if he can maybe just draw into Hex, he can retreat, use Hex, and attack with Glaceon. That will prevent Mew from attacking. Okay, and looks like he is going to just be revenge for the knockout. Okay, he did draw Sycamore, so he does have a support to work with. I do see Lysander in his hand as well, but I'm not sure what else he can really make use of this turn. If he has Shaman, I would consider maybe... Okay, well, he has Ultra Ball, I think. I would consider maybe trying to Shaman to draw into a Hex Maniac. Since there's already enough easy prizes on the bench at this point, I don't think benching another Shaman really hurts Marcus. Because Zebstrika can already knock out the existing Shaman, and Vespiquen can already knock out basically anything else that's there. So the Lapras or the Manaphy. So I think if I'm Marcus, that's what I'm trying to do here. And he's definitely a little conflicted, it looks like. Okay, he did look through his discard. I didn't see a second Shaman, so as long as it's not prized, he can do that. I think that is the play here, but looks like he's just going to Crystal Ray for 80. Here's going to discard a couple more Pokemon. And John only has a couple cards left in his deck, it looks like, so he's going to grab Zebstrika. But honestly, I think this game might be over before then. You know, he's got, what, 2 or 3 more turns, so I think he'll be okay. So if I had to imagine, we'll probably just see a B Revenge from this Mew EX. Okay, so Ultra Ball looks like he's thinking about. Let's see, he probably needs to count how many Pokemon's in his discard pile just to begin with. Okay, but here it looks like he's opting not to, and he's going to just B Revenge for the knockout here. And that is definitely not good for Marcus. He has to just promote this Lapras. What he might consider doing even is just Lysander stalling the Zebstrika. I think that's one of the only plays he really has at his disposal right now anyways. Because I'm not sure how many Pokemon's in John's discard, but it's probably a good bit. It's probably enough to knock out this Lapras. So, well, yeah, if that's actually the case, then I don't think it even matters to Lysander the Zebstrika. Okay, and here he does have Shaman in hand. So he did have access to it. So, you know, if I'm Marcus, I would have kind of regretted not going for the Shaman the previous turn. But here it looks like that's going to be the game, guys. John is going to take a win over this Vespiquen deck. Or, I'm sorry, with his Vespiquen deck over Marcus's Water Toolbox deck. But yeah, guys, that's going to be the second round of the series. We have one more. We have round 3 coming up. So definitely be sure to stick around for that. And like I said, if you want to see the deck Marcus was using, I'll put a link to the video he did on it pretty recently as well. But yeah, guys, as usual, feel free to like and subscribe. And don't forget to check out our merch over at rarecandytcg.com. If you can pick up something to help support the channel, it'd mean a lot to us. But with that, I appreciate you watching, and we'll see you for the next one.